Good afternoon and welcome to the monthly climate update for the 2024-2025 winter season. This will be the last update of this season. And for that reason, we're asking if you have any feedback, if you could provide it to us. We want to make sure that this series is useful to you. So finding out whether you wanted to see certain content that we didn't provide or if you want to see less content will really help us next year. You can send that to nws.missoula@noaa.gov and put something in the subject line about this being the feedback for the climate outlook. That way we can weed it out and get it to the right person. So, outlook through the end of February will be on the itinerary today. Warmer and wetter this weekend. There's going to be a very big potential for flooding issues in low-lying areas due to snowmelt, hefty mountain snow above 5,000 to 6,000 feet, and then the system may end with a little bit of valley snow around 25th to 26th of February. Then we'll talk about the outlook for the first half of March. Cooler and active the first week. Potential for a weak Arctic the second week. And just remember, these shoulder seasons, it's very difficult to weed out a pattern, and that's why this will be the last outlook. Finally, we'll do a recap of the last 30 days and pretty much the entire winter. So the climate index that's been really useful has been the Madden-Julian oscillation. This is a measure of where the most concentrated thunderstorm activity is on the equator, and it makes sense. These clustered thunderstorms are lofting tons of moisture and heat into the atmosphere, and that's what's been driving our climate. How do you read this? You see the circle right here? We call this in the inner circle the null phase. It means the Madden-Julian oscillation, when it's inside the circle, isn't really influence climate too much. So we started here in the first week of January, and then throughout January we're progressing into phase 2. Phase 2 is colder and drier for the Northern Rockies, centered on January, and we had our coldest day of the year on the 20th. And then we finally came all the way around the diagram, and we're back here on the 21st of February in the phase 8. So phase 7, 1, and 2, those are cooler than normal and typically wetter than normal once it's centered on February and March. So how does that work out? On our 8 to 14 day outlook, we have near normal temperatures in the short term and near normal precipitation, but along the continental divide, about a 40 to 50% chance of above normal precipitation. And what does near normal temperatures mean? In general, for western Montana valleys, 42 and 23, your high and low, and then for north central Idaho, about 45 and 27 for the high and low. And now we'll talk about some specifics. This is the outlook for the first half of March, weeks 3 and 4. Equal chances of above or below normal temperatures, and continuing the pattern of above normal precipitation. So the warmer and wetter this week with the potential of some flooding, so prepare now. Then the first week of March turns cooler with continued precipitation. That will likely look at snow both in the higher elevations and potentially down into the valleys. But the potential of a weak Arctic to end that first week into the second week of March, keep that in mind. The models are looking at that. And then throughout the rest of the month, we're just going to continue on with cooler than normal and above normal precipitation. And I've already given you the temperatures to start the month. By the end of the month, we're looking at average temperatures climbing almost 10 degrees, and both western Montana and north central Idaho have highs of 52 and lows near freezing. All right, so that ends our outlook. Once again, for those of you who are going to cut off the video, if you have any feedback, we'd love to hear it. We want to make this series better for you next year. So any help with that is greatly appreciated. So looking at that look back, this was a tale of two winters. If we break it down between December 31st and January 1st, the first half of the winter was well above normal, 4 to 6 degrees, with below normal precipitation and well below normal snowfall. On the December 31st, there were very few locations in the valleys that actually had snowfall. And then that all changed on January 2nd. It started to snow, it got cold, and the average temperature for the last 51 days has been 6 to 7 degrees above normal. It's been a mix of above and below normal precipitation, but you can see here snow has been well above normal. And it's really interesting with Missoula. This was through December 31st was our fourth slowest start to the snow season. We only had 0.9 inches on December 31st. And then since then, we've gotten 37.8 inches. That is the third highest total of snow between January 1st and February 20th for us. And that equated to a 14-inch change in snow depth. We went from nothing on the ground to about, today it's about 12 inches, but the average for the past 51 days was 14 inches. Kalispell has seen a change of 13 inches, and Pierce, Idaho, 16 inches, and Salmon, Idaho, 12 inches. Keep that in mind when we're talking about a quick melt off this weekend. Not all of it's going to melt, but those low-lying areas could be prone to flooding. So maybe move some snow away from your foundation and stuff like that to prepare for this weekend. All right, in our current snowpack, this is always important. Remember, our snowpack continues to build through the middle of May, but we're sitting at about 80 to 100%, and that's generally from north to south. Lower in the north, higher in the south, and Lemhi County comes in at the highest total. And this is averaged out over the entire basin, so not everywhere in this region is going to be 117% of normal. Looking at our drought monitor, this is the biggest headline, relatively unchanged since January 20th. The only place that I could find a change was now northwest Montana is in the D0 or abnormally dry category. Well, all right. It's been a lot of fun putting this series together. If you could provide us with some feedback, we want to make it better for you next year. Any content we missed that you would have liked to have seen, any content you think was over the top, we'll do our best to take that out. And you can send that to nws.missoula@noaa.gov. And in the subject line, just something about the climate outlook.